All right, let's graph some more linear inequalities. This is part 2, and what I've drawn over here, I've got a system. I've got two inequalities. One is nonlinear, one happens to be linear. How do we tackle that when we go ahead and graph it? So let's have a little look. Let's see, I think I'll just clear the screen here, put the grid up. And let's just write these out, kind of separate them a little bit, so I got some room to work. So the first one looked like this. It was y greater than or equal to 1/2 x squared minus 1. Now, I've got to locate, this being quadratic, I should locate the vertex. The vertex would be when x is 0 and negative 1. So that looks like a pretty good point, 0, negative 1. Now, I don't think I want to use the y-intercept since I'm sitting at the y-intercept. So I could find the x-intercepts if I wanted. Or maybe even I've got maybe a nice easy point to grab. Like, why don't we do something like this? If x is 2. That gives me 2 units to the right. That might give me a pretty accurate graph. If I put a 2 in here, 2 squared is 4. Half of 4 is 2. And 2 minus 1 is 1. So I've got 2 to the right goes up 1. So that's a nice point to graph, and I'm just going to beam across here. So there it is, nice and symmetric. Now I'm going to try and fill in the graph here. So there's my parabola going up. Something like that. Okay. And the only other thing I have to decide is, should I shade inside or outside, above or below? Well, this says y greater than. Greater than means we want the y values to be above. Greater than means they should be above the graph. So we would shade, I'm just going to mark it in a little bit, this way. Okay, a couple little arrows like that tells me, yes, we would shade inside this parabola. Okay, so that's one of my graphs done. And the next one's going to be the linear, which is x plus 3y is less than 3. So just because this is not in slope-intercept form, I think I'm just going to grab a couple of points on a table of values. Sometimes that's quicker and easier. So like if x was 0, for example, put 0 in here. To make this equal to 3, y would have to be 1. And if y was 0, so we'd wipe out the 3y, then x would have to be 3. So there's a couple of nice easy points. So we got 0, 1, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 0. So I know my line goes through there, and I also know my line is going to be dotted. So I'll try and draw my line here. Okay, so the same thing going the other way. Okay, so something like that. Okay, so there's my line. And do I shade above or below? Well, why don't we take a nice little test point like 0, 0. If I put 0 plus 3 times 0, I'm going to get a great big fat 0 on the left. So my question is that true? Is 0 less than 3? Yes, it is. I think so. So I want to be below my dotted line. So I want to be above the parabola, but I want to be below the dotted graph. So, you know, this is the part that's true for both. Okay, this little zone here is below the dotted line, and it's above the parabola, so that is my solution zone. And that is going to be the end of this very short little lesson.